Okay, the lesson we have tonight is a little different than what you're used to, probably one that you have never attempted before, and that is, instead of doing line work first and then adding values later to shade what you drew, we're actually going backwards. So you can see over here we have some values going in different directions. So this new one that I'm doing, I'm going to explain that while doing this, and then I'm going to add some details to this. It's to extract newer ideas in ways that is going to get you out of your comfort zone. And we as artists, we need to jump out of our comfort zone every once in a while. I'm out of my comfort zone right now. And plus I have to talk to you guys about what I'm doing, so any kind of mess up, any kind of goof or whatever may happen is not going to be edited out. Instead, I'm just going to embrace what's happening, and I'm kind of intrigued too because I haven't done this, I don't think I've ever done this. I just started doodling a while ago just to kind of get warmed up for tonight's session, and I'm thinking, what can I do that is really outside of the box? Now we have a bunch of shapes. Alright, so we have some values thrown together. Let's try to extract a shape from this. Alright, so now the silhouette has already been established. I'm going to see if I can get a critter to pop out of this, and I think I can. Now there has been no like preliminary sketches for these things. The lines that were happening on the page in real time, I'm just embracing that. So we'll see what happens after that. So I'm going to clean up some of the shading obviously, because I can see some really interesting things happening in here. I don't even know if this is going to work. We're about to find out. It kind of looks like a rock, but I'm also wondering what we can make it, or what could be the creature. And actually, I think I see it now. I'm a big fan of chameleons. I love chameleons. I think they're so alien and otherworldly. And I'm starting to get a sense that maybe that shape over there is its right eye and this is its left eye. I'm not drawing a chameleon, but it's going to be a little critter like it. So maybe this is the front face. And then we can make the mouth. It also kind of looks like somebody's wearing glasses, but we'll see how that goes. Big hunchback. And then we got the little legs here. So it looks like a dancing little chameleon. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to put some darkness under that eye poking out. And then this one. Now I'm also sketching with black Prismacolor. And if you're familiar with black Prismacolor, one, it's wax based. So you're pretty much in the clear as far as keeping your paper clean and not wanting to smudge it, because it will not smudge unless you push really hard on it. And second, I like black Prismacolor because you can get very, very dark very quickly. Now, if you are new to sketching, I don't suggest using a black Prismacolor yet, mainly because when you're new to drawing, you still want to correct your mistakes or lines that you think shouldn't be there, and black Prismacolor doesn't go anywhere. So I would advise you to just experiment with it before you do a more finalized drawing. There we go. Put in some little fingers here. Oh, this was kind of fun. I didn't realize that we can make a little critter out of that, but I guess it happened. Comment below and tell me what you're drawing or what you end up with this method. I'm really intrigued to find out, because it could have been a spaceship, it could be a weapon, who knows. Maybe we can put like a little tail at the end. There we go. Put some, I think I'm going to put another coating going the opposite direction. Notice how I'm starting darker at the bottom and I'm moving to a lighter touch as I move up the body. If the darkness is closer to the ground, it helps ground your idea. That's typically what happens, and I like putting my creatures and characters in some kind of atmosphere to make it seem like they're living and breathing on the page. There we go. Huh. Maybe we'll put like a little biosuit on them or some kind of exoskeleton. I mean, I still want to keep it as a reptile and not an insect. So I'm going to stay away from insectoid shells and stuff like that. Maybe something on the back. It almost looked like a grunt from Halo, but kind of stopped myself from doing that. Okay, there we go. And also you want to keep your black Prismacolor sharp at all times. So I'll probably be sharpening this. I don't record myself sharpening the pencil anymore because that made people jump. I listen to my old videos, and yeah, it really did make people jump. Make me jump whenever I'd have to edit my videos. All right, let's go over here and let's do it again. So we'll come across here very lightly, down here at a different angle, and let's stop there. Let's put one right in the middle. I'm just having fun with this, guys. That's all. Just having fun. Shading's not perfect. There's no definitive shape that I'm searching for. I'm just kind of putting the values down. I don't want it to be the same shape, so I'm just going to go opposite of the other one. There we go. And maybe something pretty dark right here. Why don't we do that and just fade it off? And then maybe another one right here. And then another one right here. Now it's going opposite, it's going upwards. Oh man. What is this thing? Alright. I guess all that caffeine that I had today is aiding my decision making right now, because I don't know what's going on. There we go. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Just kind of brush in some lines here, and this part of thumbnailing is a lot of fun because you're witnessing, like, not your as in you guys are witnessing me, but also if you're just sketching on your own paper, you're witnessing something new happening. And there's a lot of possibilities that it could be, you know, a future project. It's every thumbnail counts. So we have this strange, almost like a honeycomb shape in here, and I wonder if we can take that and just kind of finish off those shapes here. All right, and maybe it's really deeply inset right there. So let's fade some value into the body from that deep little crevice, and let's do it again. We'll just kind of come out, and then maybe we'll go opposite direction up this way. That's kind of cool. Let's follow it around. Maybe that shape can pop out of the body. I'm calling it a body because I know that this is going to be a creature. Maybe it's even a plant. I don't know. You know what it needs? It needs a tentacle to come out. Let's put a tentacle out. And then one out here. I'm making the tentacle come out from the darkest part of those holes. Okay? Because that means that there's space existing in there. It's either hollow or some kind of other creature organ that's allowing these tentacles to even exist. There we go. Okay. So maybe this creature isn't the normal thing that we're expecting out of these shapes. You know, like this one's a little quadruped that looks like a lizard. So we're thinking claws, hands, a mouth. Let me put that mouth slit right there. I think that'll do it. Maybe like a little sharp teeth coming down here. Maybe one up here. And then 2 holes for the nostril. There we go. I always like to jump back to my other drawings if I see something in a new one that, I don't know, just kind of reminds me like, hey Bob, you need to go back and finish that other one. Okay, let's put a ground plane on here. Whenever I do these, I don't consider anything that I do a failure because I tell myself, Bobby, you can use those later. Or you can use that, you know, you can keep building on that. Because what happens is if you guys draw anything and you just put it into your mind that, well, it sucks and I'm not going to be able to use this for anything because it doesn't look right now like it did in my head, then it's going to suck. And you're not going to put your, you know, time and energy into making it look awesome. You're just going to immediately think that going to be awful. And it will be awful because you're going to make it like that. There we go. Okay, so not what I was expecting, but fine. That's fine. I'm just letting this happen. And I got to put the tentacles on the other side coming out, because maybe this thing is almost like an octopus, but it lives in a shell. That'd be kind of cool. Very Lovecraftian too. All right, I'm going to show you another reason why I love black Prismacolor so much, and that is the line strength that you're able to get with it when you want to go thick to thin quickly. Now, whenever I sketch with black Prismacolor, it's usually to finish drawings off or to make sure that the graphite stays down. Okay, that's one of the biggest reasons. If you mix the wax from black Prismacolor with the graphite, it helps keep it down, especially if you don't have fixed diff near you and you really can't afford to have anything smear. It's another reason why I love it. But when you put dark outlines around stuff, it really helps it pop. So like this, you're just going to have a little bit of control when it comes to keeping the black Prismacolor straight, because you don't want any hair marks. Hair marks as in whenever you draw, you don't want to try to draw a straight line or something like that, and then you just keep doing hair marks like this instead of one swoop. You should always aim for one swoop when you're sketching, regardless of the pencil. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to darken the tip of these tentacles, and then I'm going to fade that off throughout the rest of the tentacle, just to kind of bring some emphasis towards it. Maybe we can make the tip of the tentacle a little sharper. There we go. It's just a play up on values, because there's a lot of stuff happening with those tentacles in the background right here, and they're behind these. So the ones in the front need a darker treatment so they pop. And now you notice the values don't really work right down here, so there needs to be some shadows. And I'm lightly keeping the strokes close together as I work my way up that shape. I'm being very cautious about how far out I take it, because I don't want to go outside of the lines on these. Not as much as the other thumbnails, just because this is a newer method, and I want to make sure I stay in these lines, because these lines are pretty thick. There we go. Okay. And obviously these shapes right here are going to be casting some shadows on the body of it. So I'm going to fade off some value from dark to light coming down here. So hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. It's one of those things where you're just going to have to keep experimenting with your sketchbook. Everybody's sketchbook is different. Okay, and I will say it again, your sketchbook is your diary. You can draw whatever you want in your sketchbook, and nobody's going to judge you for it. As a matter of fact, all those little doodles that you have in there, all those little scratches and sketches that don't really mean anything to you emotionally, those have the potential to be your best work, because you weren't thinking too hard. You just allowed your mind to have its own artistic freedom, and you're just drawing in it, versus thinking so hard. And then if you don't like it after thinking so hard about it, then you really hit a rut, because then you get depressed about it. It's like us artists wearing our emotions on our sleeves, and then when somebody judges the work, we feel like people are judging us, and it sucks. You grow out of it with age. That goes away when you get older. But when you're younger, teens and 20s, and you're drawing, and you put your heart and soul into some artwork, and then somebody said, oh, that's completely off, or that doesn't look right, you take it personally. Never ever take this stuff personally when it comes to critiques. Okay, so we got looks like we got another bug here. I immediately saw it. I just saw big mandibles or pincers or whatever. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe there's like a horn coming up here. Maybe these are, I don't know if they're mandibles. I don't know if they're pincers or something. Let's see. Let's darken the bottom. It's like a big shape right here. I may have messed up. As a matter of fact, I think I did. Because this is totally not even. Because I have this big sharp claw. I'm calling it a claw. And then I have this one. And then I have this weird spike coming out. This looks like the front of a tugboat. And then that looks... What? Oh dear. Okay. Why don't we just do this? Let's put that on the other side. And then the shading that I have in the back, that may be a, I don't know, like a faded out indication of a neck. Put some round eyes right here. Oh my gosh, you can tell that I've been watching too much Roblox with my children because I'm starting to do this creatures. Oh man. So it's either Minecraft, watching Steve fight some kind of creature, or something off Roblox, because there's like a new game out every single week and my boys love it. My boys are 7 and 5, so obviously they're tearing into those Roblox games. Some of them are really cool. Good music too. Okay, well, it looks like we have ourselves a little rectangular face creature with a lot of eyes. Well, let's do that. I don't know how this is going to work, but hey. And then maybe this is the hair. Let's round that head off here. But you know what we could do? We can start adding in some other claws, and maybe it walks like that. There we go. Maybe the brain is in the inside of some see-through contraption. Kind of like that Mars Attacks, if you guys have seen that movie from back in the 90s. What was that other, what was it, yeah, Invaders from Mars. We're going old school, folks, but if you remember that movie, there's a main boss alien at the end. It looks like it had like a big cerebellum. It was just like a giant cerebellum, and the big spinal cord was attached to it, and it looked like the brain right here. So it is in the brain. This thing got really creepy really fast, but that's totally fine. Okay, let's give it a ground. There we go. You see how it doesn't smear. That's why I like black Prismacolor. I could just keep doing that. We won't get into too much detail because we don't need to. There we go. Hopefully that's not too blurry for you. Okay, comment below if you enjoyed today's lesson. You know, I always like reading people's comments if you enjoyed the lessons, and I do read every single comment, every single one, good and bad. Just as long as you keep it civil. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what your struggles are. And I take suggestions about what you would like me to draw on my channel. I've been getting a lot of figure drawing recommendations. Not humanoids, but actual people. Like hands and faces and stuff. So that is definitely on the way. That was planned even regardless of people were suggesting it or not, because it's super important to know how to draw people, the human figure, skulls, our bone structure, our anatomy, and all that. Very important, especially if you want to be a character concept artist. If you neglect it and you just think you're just going to draw people and get a job, that's not happening. There we have it, folks. So hopefully that lesson was fun. It was definitely strange. Okay, we got 1, got 2, and we got 3. So you start with values, and then you crisscross the values. You can spend as much time as you want doing that stage. You can crisscross them. You can put some curves in them, but always keep your finger tilted, or always keep your pencil tilted. Okay, you might even come up with some really cool machinery, you know, or like, I don't know, some kind of intergalactic creature, some kind of reconnaissance probe, some kind of weapon, who knows, maybe some alien signage. We want to allow you guys the chance to draw again, okay, because it's very therapeutic, and you know, let's see what you guys are capable of. All right, thanks everyone. Peace.